Welcome to SpouseTales podcast. You really can't make this stuff up. Bringing you truth, solutions, and innovative ideas to some of the most controversial and overlooked questions inside the practice and out. Hello to our creator and co-host, Joanne Majors, CSP, published author, certified speaking professional, joined by her co-host, Kathy Signo.
Hello, I'm Joanne Majors. Welcome to SpouseTales.
Hi, I'm Kathy Signo, and I want to let you know you cannot make this stuff up.
You cannot make this up. There's nothing about it that you can make up. We're excited today. We've got one of our favorite people back with us. Beverly is amazing, and you probably know her. She's she's got extreme wealth of knowledge when it comes to specialty practices, has her own business, works also in her husband, Dr. Carl Smith's practice in Alexandria, Virginia. Beverly, welcome. Good to see you.
Hi, ladies. It's so nice to see you guys, and thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah, we're thrilled. So Kathy and I have been doing a short series, and we like to keep ours short, and we kind of do that for people. We have been doing this series on, how things have changed since COVID. One of the things that we talked about is what's something that you learned about yourself, or you learned about you and your spouse, or you learned about the team during that time. I mean, what's something that you would share that you learned?
So I definitely learned that I'm a better cook than I thought I was. You had to get this new normal of actually using your kitchen, right? And all these utensils that you've bought along the years. So we definitely did a lot of cooking, and that was a really fun experience to be able to do some of those things together as well. So cooking was probably one of the things that I learned about myself, is that I'm a much better cook than I actually thought that I was.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, I got to ask you, because Kathy and I've talked about this. They talk about the college 10, and I call it the COVID 20. Yeah. And so that way it makes me feel better, because I'm really closer to the college 10 than the COVID 20. Yeah. So did anybody in your household gain any weight?
We actually didn't, but I'll tell you, I mean, we probably could have, both of us could stand to probably lose a few pounds anyway, but we didn't, because I think, when you go out and you're eating out all those rich foods and all of those things, you're actually cooking a lot healthier when you have to do it yourself. So
unfortunately, I've never been somebody who really, I love sweets, but I never made a lot of sweets. And that, I'm doing a little commercial for Instapot. I don't know if you guys know this, but that stinking Instapot, I don't even like cheesecake. And we figured out how to make a cheesecake in the Instapot. It's crazy good, and it makes two at the same time. So let's just say, it was more sweets than I should have had.
You can do that. I think there's a really low-cal version of the Instapot cheesecake.
Okay, I'm going to have to find that one, because this other didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to.
You found time too, though, during this time to take walks. Those are things that we haven't done. We haven't actually just gotten out to walk our neighborhood and all these new things. So it was actually, we learned that staying home wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. I think that's definitely, one of the things that we learned. And I also think we stress ourselves so much at the office, the production goals and the collection goals. And when this happened, you're like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? All that stress kind of stops, and a new stress comes about the fact that you don't have stress from having the stress from the goals, from meeting the goals. And so it's just incredible.
Yeah, I kind of joke about, I'll say, we plan and God laughs.
Yeah.
Because we had all these plans, right? This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is how it's supposed to be happening. And this is what it should look like. And it's kind of like, okay, let me just back this up. And I'll stop here for a split second and just say that, I grew up, Hispanic, and my mother was arrested when I was really young because they thought she was illegal. And I remember sitting on the police bench. And so what I think is I think somebody's saying, pay attention. I think from the COVID thing to now, the murder of Mr. Floyd, who was one of many. I mean, let's just say that, one of many. And I heard something yesterday on the talk, and we kind of remind me of the talk, and one of the ladies said, who was white, she said, I always say I'm not racist. And she said, and I'm not racist. She said, what I know is just saying you're not racist is not enough. I've got to do. And so what I think is all of this, wouldn't you agree, when you ladies agree, all of this has had such an impact on how we perceive what we do and how we perceive what others do.
Well, and I think too, when we say we're not racist, I think just in saying that tells us that we are. There's so much that we have to learn. We have to be open to the discussion. I was just talking to somebody yesterday who, they have a biracial family, and she said, I looked at her and I said, I can't tell you I know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it feels like.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it feels like every day when your 17-year-old son gets in a car and drives away from home, and they have had the conversation before this ever happened. His dad has had the conversation with him. This is what you should do as a Black man if you get pulled over.
Wow.
And
that is so poignant.
That you have to have that conversation is not right.
Well, and I think, like I said, I didn't want to get off on that, but Kathy, you and I actually did an episode one time on proper acknowledgement.
Yes.
It was, I think, after my mother passed away, and then I lost a brother a year later, and then my dad, and people would say, oh, I understand, sweetheart, or, oh, I know what and it's like, I did a whole series on that, and we talked about it. And I think that we talked to our team about, like, don't say, I understand, unless you've had a root canal, or you've had a toothache, wake you up in the middle of the night and you almost drown from the water because you're keeping cold water on it so it doesn't hurt. Don't be saying, I understand how you feel, because you don't. It's better to say, I can't imagine how you feel. I've never had a toothache wake me up in the night. I've never lost a parent. I think that is so important, to not minimize how we acknowledge things.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think that's a big deal.
We went back and forth with the acknowledgement of our team on it, because, our team, I think everyone in the country can feel, again, I know you don't want to go too far off on this, but everyone in the country can feel this movement different this time, I think. And I think it's very important, we kind of went back and forth of how do we address this through our practice, and how do we address this social media. And, we want to validate our team, and we want to let our team know that we're with them, because a lot of our team are down in, Washington, D.C. We're very close to the White House, and they're there and they're marching, and, they're, doing all of these things because they want to be heard. And we not only even so much had to acknowledge things for our personal belief systems, but also to support the team that has such a big, it's inside them. It's this inherent wanting to make a difference inside, of the team. Yeah. So
Beverly, I think it's interesting because I think a lot of it's how you grow up, right? I mean, Chuck grew up in a community that was one county over from the largest Ku Klux Klan area in the state of Texas. I mean, literally, you could drive through that town. There were billboards that said terrible things, and they were up for years. You would see crosses burning. I mean, like, it was significant, right? But he said, I didn't grow up being racist because I didn't grow up with anybody except white people. What's very interesting to me is where we are now. I mean, so he married a Hispanic lady. His lead assistant is a beautiful Black woman. I mean, she is beautiful. And so we have so much color in our practice that for us, I mean, we talk about it yesterday at our team meeting. We talked about it. Everybody went around the table and said, how are you feeling? Do you need to say anything? And we all cried. I mean, we cried and talked. And what's really interesting to me is that when you don't see color, right, maybe we were too lackadaisical, right? Because we don't talk about it because it's like, it's obvious. Look at us. And I work with several companies in the Salt Lake City area. And I remember saying to one of my friends who has a company there, I said, I love working with you guys, but you guys have really got to get some diversity in here. You got a lot of white dudes, running around in skinny jeans. And the truth is, there are women, there is color, and you have none. And I mean, you hate to say that, but it's like, I thought that, a year ago when I was visiting with some of them. So it's interesting how our businesses have a face, right? And it's like some of us are in areas where we serve, many cultures, and because there's a university here, a lot of that happens. But, I think that helps some too. Kathy, is your patient base somewhat that way?
Yes, actually, we have a very diverse patient base, and it's really, when we first moved here, it wasn't like that. Milwaukee is very European in its ethnicity, a lot of German and Irish and Polish and all that. But it's interesting because we purchased a practice from a doctor, and we see now that he wasn't very welcoming to anybody that didn't look like him. And now our practice is very diverse because we've opened our arms up to people that necessarily don't look like us and don't have the same jobs as us and don't live the same lifestyles. And so it's very rewarding for me because I always think, what can I learn from someone else? And it's not just about color, it's about cultural traditions.
Yeah.
You know, with different traditions and things. We always find that so interesting living in Milwaukee, being so diverse, to learn about different restaurants where the food is different than what we're used to. You know, it's just, there's just a whole different mindset around that I think I'm fortunate that we've been open to that. But I think that we need to have a voice and say that we don't live on an island.
Yeah.
You know, this is not an island. There's a lot of wonderful things to experience out there, and just open yourself up to it.
Beverly, what about you guys? And like I said, I know, but we're going to do what we're going to do. That's why we get to be doing it.
Exactly. So we are in a melting pot of just culture and all of those things, being as close as we are to DC. So our team very much represents that. We have every culture, we have every religion, we have everything happening under our roof. So the fortunate part of that is that we're able to connect and communicate with a lot of patients on a lot of different cultures and, all of those things. Carl and I had a fortunate opportunity a couple of years ago. We have a Hispanic dental assistant, and we were able to purchase her citizenship for her so that she could become a U.S. citizen. So we got to attend the citizenship ceremony, and it was one of the most moving things that I've ever seen, that to come to be somebody to become a U.S. citizen. And it was a very nice thing. And it's just wonderful. So we're fortunate that we get a lot of we get the hodgepodge of everything, and it's wonderful. We love it that way. So, and our team is very representative of that as well.
Yeah. I forget that you're so close to DC, and that does make a big difference.
Oh, sure. So I have a question, Beverly. When you talk about this team during this time off, what is it that you guys did to stay in touch, to make sure that you guys came back still a team?
We Zoomed a lot. We had some Zoom happy hours. We stole a little piece of wonderful, fun treats from Signo Family Dental of some photographs that we took for our team. And I actually, when I called Kathy, I said, Kathy, can I steal this idea from you? Because it's so amazing. And she said, yes, that's what we're all here for. We're here to share. Yeah. So we stole ideas, and we got them drawing, and we pulled out their artistic talents, and we made photos, and we posted all over our social media. We were able to actually do something else in our community where we were able to, there was a nursing home, and as you know, in the news, all of these nursing homes had this huge thing happening, during COVID and closures and outbreaks. And we were able to, through a community network of people, found out that these nurses and people, essential workers in the nursing homes, didn't have any access to their vending machines, didn't have access to snacks. And you would think that's no big deal, bring a snack from home, whatever. But these 12 and 13, 14-hour days, these are things that, they're important to make sure. So we grabbed the community, we pushed it all out on social media. We were able to get a ton of snacks, delivered them to all the nursing homes. 3 weeks, they were able to have probably very big sugar rushes.
That's awesome.
It's healthy idea. If it's good for business, let's do it. No, I'm kidding.
It's not the most healthy thing, but
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so now the truth comes out, right? That's really cool. I think
card tucked in the Twix bar. We stuck our cards.
Yeah. We have a couple of, we're a block from the hospital, and the administrator at the hospital, I've written about a couple of times because he was there when I had my stroke, and he's just an amazing guy. And so I would check on him regularly, and we'd see the press releases, and both of the directors of both hospitals here are patients. So we would kind of stay in the loop, but we actually, there's a larger, it's Texas A&M physicians group. It's a big group here that they make the rounds and that sort of thing. And they were doing it with these students, right? And they were taking all the students would go in each room, and now they assigned them, and it was much different. And we actually, Chuck volunteered me, Kathy, as we talk about that, right? Like Bette Johnson says, volunteer me. Chuck said, we're going to take lunch, to the group. I want you to take lunch to the group. Well, I mean, there's like 40 people. And I was like, okay, yeah. And so he said, I would like you to do a home cooked meal. And I was like, okay. So you know what it was? It was like a big thing of pulled pork and chips and coleslaw. But I mean, they were so appreciative. And it's like, I've never been there as a patient, but it wasn't about that, right? And so I think that's the cool thing. It's like, I feel better because Kathy and I had some down in the dumpers, and Beverly, I saw a little video of you in our little private group. We all had it, right? We all went down. We went low. I mean, it's like, I found that I was much better for myself if I was doing something for somebody else. Yeah. And it's like, it's weird how that works to me, that as long as, it's like, if I'm not focusing on me and my poor me, and I can do for somebody else, it's just better. I mean, I feel like I feel better.
It is. It really is.
I think that's the interesting thing. So
Well,
what
you know,
that helps you guys come back? I'm sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
you mentioned that, this group that we're in, that we share on social media and things like that. We have this private group. And I have to tell you that was a big thing for me to be able to go there, get support from someone, non-judgment. There was no judgment. If you had a bad day, you could just go there and you were lifted up. Funny things were posted, different memes and different jokes and things like that. So I found that during that time, having a supportive group of people behind you really makes a difference.
Between Becky Mosier and Jules Varney, I mean, there's enough laughter for a century, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm going to give a shout out to Grace for putting that group together, because it's a place. And I was thinking about this. I did a webinar for ADOM yesterday, and I tell this story about what's a movie that you watched and you really ugly cried. And I was thinking, okay, it wasn't a movie. I was thinking about where I was and I ugly cried, right? I was in the movie, but it's the truth. I mean, I think about how it's such a different place right now. And a lot of these businesses that have to go back at 25 or 50% capacity, those of us who know the bottom line at a dental office know that at 25 or 50% capacity, there are many practices that won't be in business if it's at 25 or 50% capacity, because you don't hit your profit margin many times until that 40%, 30, and depending on what it is and lab fees. But I mean, it's like, as good as it is that people get to go back, there are still some real limitations. And I think that's
fortunate. I was fortunate too. You kind of mentioned how doing something for someone else made you feel good. I was a little selfish, I do have to admit, for portions of the 2 months. And I did focus some of my business, and that allowed me to free up what's happening now, which is reopening and giving me time to do that, where I'm not so much focused on the business, because I was able to set things. I did Margie's Schaller's course, and I know you're doing some things with her as well, which I look forward to doing some of those too. But that was probably one of the best things I've ever done. She's just a wonderful, amazing person. I was so impressed, and I learned so much in an hour and a half. So it didn't take a long time. It was an amazing thing. So I was a little selfish in some parts of things, of getting myself reorganized,
That's a really good thing. I mean, we had another one yesterday, the workshop that we're doing with helping people get results from their stories. And we had Tony on, Kathy, he did one of ours. And the people we had yesterday, one of them was from a product or service, like a technology, and somebody else was a speaker. And then, it's always different, but it amazes me. I get off and I'm like, and Chuck said, "You're so different after you guys do those workshops." And I said, because it's so cool to see the light go off and somebody's like, "God, I've been telling that story to make people laugh," or "I've been telling that story because it fit right there. I never realized I could tell the story and add 2 or 3 things and actually get the result I wanted." So for me, it's like I told him, I said, how you say, like, I go in and I do a procedure from start to finish. Like, this is what I do. And I finish things, right? I said, I do so many things that are just not finished, right? I mean, you guys know this. We go in and we start something, and then they say, "Hey, can you come in here? He wants you to come talk to this patient." And it's like, okay, I'm back. I mean, it's happened to me every day that I've been in there, and I've been in there every Tuesday and part of the day on Wednesday. And it's like, that was my commitment. But I'm telling you, doing those workshops, it's like falling off a log to me. I feel so good. He said, "You have so much energy when you finish this. Why aren't you this way after a day at the office?" I'm like, well, I got to tell you, it's a lot harder work, right? I mean, it's like, because you just don't know what you're going to get into. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that's so different.
I've been an assistant again some days. I mean, it's that bad. It's that real.
Yeah. It's really interesting because we have a new assistant who speaks beautiful Spanish. Her English is not as good, but we have a large Hispanic base. So we are really glad to get her. And I didn't get a chance to work with her really before COVID. And so after COVID, I've been in there, and they had a patient in one room. It turned into a surgical extraction. And because you have to watch how people come in and out. And so if we can do some same day dentistry, it's great, right? As long as you can do everything else. And I said, "Chuck, let's do it." I said, he said, "Okay." And so she was so worried because I was in there with him. And so she came in there and she said, "Doctor, your wife knows how to do this." And so it was really cute because she had no idea. And he said, "You can go finish what you're doing. We've got this." And, she just kind of looked, but it's like, I'm like you, it's like chairside is different. And, I assisted for years. Kathy, you did too. I mean, we've all assisted. Yeah. It is different. It's different. And that's a lot of stuff to wear. And I am at a stage in my life where I have my own personal summer with me every day. So, now we've added to the 14-day out protocol is, you'll find that our office was cool before. It's cold now due to all the clothing that they have to wear and the mask and that sort of thing. could you bring your own blanket or wrap? Because, we had blankets before, right? But just the whole COVID thing. And so it's funny how once you went back, now the call list for 14 days out has changed. We added this, because we want them to know this is what's going to be happening. And I think that's the big piece of it.
Yeah. And I've become, I know we've talked about this. I think I'm going to open to dry cleaners because I've never steamed so many lab coats. Everything came. We opened on Tuesday after Memorial Day, and I kept waiting and waiting and waiting. The lab coats came Friday afternoon. So I had like 60 lab coats that I had to steam. And I mean, my arm, I was like, wow, this is a whole nother laundry at the office, the amount, because every time someone's walking and taking off a lab coat, you've got to do another one. And it was like, oh, wow, this is a whole different ball game there. We have actually somebody hired just to do, keep up with laundry and
Okay. So I was going to say, I actually appreciate my assisting and telephone answering skills because I'm not doing the coats. So I was about to really feel better about it.
Exactly.
When Joanne mentioned that she started, she starts all these things and she never finishes them, laundry's mine. It started, it's halfway through, never gets done.
Yeah. It's like, what's in the washer? Oh,
Yeah.
Rewash.
That's exactly right. Just hit the rewash. So Beverly, we have gone over, which we always do, but we have a good time and people will enjoy it. And you're one of our favorites. So tell me or share with us something. How are we phrasing that, Kathy? Like share something that when she came back really made a difference?
Yes. Tell us something that while at the time off that you want to bring into, moving forward, because we're at the end of 6 months now. So what is it that you learned that moving forward, planning for the next 6 months that you're going to bring into it that you've learned?
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway I think I had is, and what I've learned going back in is, don't always anticipate that you're going to end with the same result that you believed at the beginning was going to happen.
Oh, wow.
Because it has just been a whirlwind of people that have been there a long time are no longer there. There's new ones who are stepping into roles that they've never assumed before. And that's an amazing thing to see.
Right.
But never assuming, we go along and we do this and this is our day to day and it just boom, 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 boom. Well, then all of a sudden, stop. Now it's silence. Now it's quiet and now nothing's moving. And so what do? We have to look at, don't always assume tomorrow's not promised. Tomorrow's really not promised. And I think the other thing is implementing some of the things. I always really, as managing the practice full time, you guys know you do this too. Really, production collections, those goals are important. And I stressed over them. I literally would stress over them. And now I've realized that why. Even now walking in, if we have decided that today we make $1 more than we did yesterday, we're still winning. There's $1 more than we made for the last 2 months.
Yeah, so that's the truth.
So just not having to put that stress and pressure on to meet all of those certain things and knowing that we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're all going to be okay.
Yeah. I think I look at things differently. And, as women, and I don't know about you guys, I know Kathy better, Beverly, than you about this, but for me, I look at that financial thing differently than Chuck does because he's confident and but women traditionally, we think, okay, if everything stops, and as a professional speaker, both our businesses just was like, you hit a brick wall. So there's a little uneasiness and there's some concern, I'm going to say. I try to stay away from worry because I think that's a tool of the devil and he loves to use it on me. But, what I found was I kept thinking about, because we love having we have a beautiful, beautiful yard. I really do. I have beautiful flowers. We have a beautiful yard. We love being outside in the yard. And we have somebody that this time of year, they're taking care of the yard every week. They're cutting it. And then one week they'll do the shrubs, one week, whatever. It's like when I called them and we said, we don't want you to do the yard every week. We want you to do the yard every other week. And I was so like, for me, that was like, okay, should we do that or should we not do that? And it's like, it's fine. The grass is a little taller one week. There is no big deal. And all I can think about is like, do you know that I saved this guy having to bend over another patient to do it's like you look at everything differently.
You do.
Or I got them closer to a bonus because I don't know. Did you guys find that? It's like I need less. I hate to say that.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is.
True. I said, though, however, I never realized I could spend so much money at the grocery store in my life. When you eat every meal at home, you don't go out to eat, because we do go out a couple times a week.
Yeah.
And now we don't go out to eat. And there's 3 of us here, and I'm spending $300 a week. And I'm thinking, what am I buying? But the refrigerator's empty at the end of the week because we're home all the time. But we have never sat down and had meals together this much. That we're sitting there and talking. It's always, let's run upstairs in front of the TV because we've been working all day. To be able to sit down and spend quality time with your family, there's no amount of money that's worth that.
Yeah,
no amount of money.
True. It's absolutely true. I think that's exactly what it is. We've decided, one of the things that we've also done since we've been back is we take, several PPOs and other insurance policies, and we've decided it's just not worth it for, not looking at that in a negative way. We're still going to have those patients come. We're still going to take amazing care of them, but we need to make our time count.
Yes.
Our time has to count more now than ever. And he deserves that. I think for me,
I agree with you.
He
Those doctors
deserves that much.
Yeah, that's kind of how I always feel when I look at something like that. I think, that for that care, skill, and judgment, what a bargain for them, and it is, your time is much more valuable. I mean, we have where I am, I feel like I have a birthday this weekend, and I was telling Chuck this morning, I said, I have fewer tomorrows than I have yesterdays at this point. And what I know is I'm going to really covet those tomorrows and make sure that when we have time to do the things that we want to do, it's really about connecting. It's not about where we are or the resort it's just not that. I mean, all of a sudden you realize what you can get by with. And I think Beverly hit the nail on the head. It's like they deserve it. And an off the record note, we did that a couple of years ago. We'd never, every practice we'd ever owned was fee for service. And when we bought this one, they were on 32 plans. And Kathy will tell you, within a year, we were off every one of them. And we had done 4 times what he'd ever done. So we have a little set of scripts I'd love to share with you off the thing. It worked really, it worked really well. But that whole thing is about need to need connecting. We care about you and he cares about you. But here's the truth. After this, things have changed. We'd love to keep you as patients. And we really kept a lot of them. As a matter of fact, they'll refer a lot of patients. So it's still teaching us, right?
That's even ones now. They leave and then they come back. They leave for a little while and they come back and then they're like, I feel the difference here. And if it's a little bit more, who cares?
Amen. Isn't that the truth? They really do. They really do. Well, ladies, we've managed to go a little over, which I absolutely love. Kathy, what would you share as we part?
I think what I would share is be present. Through this, that was the one thing that I realized, that so many times I'm not present. I'm there, but I'm not there. So let's move forward and be present. And I can't wait to hug you ladies and see you again.
Yeah, you too. Beverly, how about you?
I think just do it. Just go with it. Just do it. And just keep moving, and know that when you fall down, you've got a support system or you've got somebody upstairs looking out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been amazing. And, we appreciate those of you who watch and tune in, and we promise to honor your inbox and continue to bring you things that we hope will shed some light and shed some love on where you are. So thanks for being with us.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of SpouseTales. We ask you to consider our podcast sponsors when you need solutions, and we look forward to seeing you on the road. Signing off live from Aggieland, this is Mel on Air.